When you think about American sports history, your mind probably jumps to all those legendary moments we all know and love. But for every iconic home run or clutch Super Bowl victory, there are just countless other stories, fascinating, bizarre stories that have been lost to time. In this explainer, we're going to dig some of those up, the brilliant and weird things that history almost completely erased.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? For every single story we celebrate, how many others have just fallen through the cracks? Well, we're about to find out. We're going to dive into the bizarre, the brilliant, and the just plain strange tales that sports history has left behind.
All right, first up, let's talk about the ghost teams. I'm talking about teams and even entire leagues that have completely vanished from our collective memory. These are the ghosts of the gridiron, the court, and the diamond.
I know what you're thinking. The Yankees? An NFL team? No way. But yeah, it's totally true. Back in 1926, the legendary baseball franchise actually tried its hand at pro football. Now, they only lasted one season, but they were stacked with some of the best players of that era. It's just this wild little footnote that shows you how different the sports world was back then.
Okay, so it's one thing for a team to be forgotten, but what about a champion? The original Baltimore Bullets won the NBA title in 1948. And then, just a few years later, the whole team folded. Their entire legacy has been completely overshadowed. It's like a championship team just vanished from the history books.
And forgotten history isn't always ancient history. A lot of us remember the recent revival of the XFL, but its first run, way back in 2001, that was a true flash in the pan. It promised this wild, over-the-top entertainment, but completely fizzled out after just one season. It became this brief, colorful memory that, ironically, ended up being the foundation for its own comeback decades later.
Okay, so we've covered teams that disappeared. Now let's talk about entire games that time forgot. And we're not talking about just any old matchups. These are the kind of contests that are so unusual, so legendary in their own weird way, that they sound more like urban legends than actual sporting events.
I mean, that quote just says it all, doesn't it? It's talking about a 1978 game between the St. Louis Cardinals and New York Giants. It was so bad, so riddled with fumbles and interceptions and missed field goals that fans literally nicknamed it the Toilet Bowl. A truly disastrous game that has somehow become this hilarious, legendary footnote in NFL lore.
0. Just think about that number for a second. In today's flag-happy NFL, can you even imagine a game with 0 penalties called? It sounds completely made up, right? But nope, it actually happened. In a 1977 playoff game between the Cowboys and the Bears, the refs just kept the flags in their pockets the whole time. A perfectly clean game. It feels like a relic from another universe.
And if you think a penalty-free game is wild, get a load of this. In 1981, 2 minor league baseball teams played a game that went for 33 innings. 33! The game lasted over 8 hours, setting a record that's still standing today. Could you imagine being a player or even just a fan sitting there for that absolute marathon? Just insane.
All right, for our last section, let's zoom in a little bit. We're going to look at some pivotal moments and figures whose larger importance has kind of faded over time. These are the details that really change the course of sports, even if we don't always remember them.
So a lot of hockey fans know about the original 6 era, right? For decades, the NHL was just this tiny, exclusive club. But then 1967 hits, and bam! The entire league doubles in size, literally overnight, in what they called the Great Expansion. This single event totally transformed hockey from a small, regional sport into the continental powerhouse we know now, paving the way for the 32-team league we have today.
Most sports fans have heard of the 1919 Black Sox scandal. 8 players banned for life, accused of throwing the World Series. But here's the part that often gets overlooked. It's not just about the scandal itself. It's about what happened after. The damage to the sport's integrity was so huge that it led to the creation of the Office of the Baseball Commissioner. It was a move that fundamentally changed how baseball has been governed ever since.
And finally, just think about the Olympics. For every modern superstar we celebrate, there are dozens of forgotten pioneers. I'm talking about champions from the early 20th century, guys winning gold in the decathlon, in fencing, in swimming. These incredible pioneers literally set the stage for the athletes of today, and most of us have never even heard their names. Their stories are almost completely lost.
So all of this kind of leaves you with one big question, right? As we're watching sports today, history is being made, and it's also being forgotten, right now, in real time. What moments, what teams, or what games from our era will become the forgotten legends that a future generation gets to rediscover? What stories are we letting slip away right now?